Greetings, board members and any community members that watch this video. I'm doing things a little bit differently this time, board members. Sending out the packet. I'm just sending out the agenda. And throughout the agenda, there are hyperlinks. And the hyperlinks will take you to those items on the agenda, the action items or the discussion items. So again, we have a meeting Tuesday, August 18th at 6 o'clock. Only in attendance at face-to-face will be board members with their masks on, of course. If you do want to remote in, that's fine. You can remote in using this Google Hangout link. Anyone in the community will have to remote in on this link. Now, if the board chair wanted to do the meeting outside, we wouldn't have to wear masks, but I don't know if that's something we want to do. So here's the hyperlink for the minutes. If you click on it, it will open up and you'll be able to see the minutes and be able to review them. The district obligations are the same. We have a few different items of consideration. The first one that we talked about last time, this past board meeting on Monday, was allowing administration to modify district graduation requirements. Obviously, students still have to meet the state requirements, but we want to make sure that we have some kind of flexibility to allow seniors to maybe graduate a little bit early, so we can free up some of our staffing and some of our facilities. And you know, we've heard from some seniors too that they'd like to get out during this difficult situation instead of being in a little bit more constrained atmosphere. The next thing for items of consideration is our pandemic operational outline. I know the board just acted on that, but we did make some changes based upon the governor's directive. We put that in there for masks. We're going to be presenting this to the community on Monday, actually, so before the board meeting. We've also added some additional items in these different sections. They're specifically for staff members, like how we're going to disinfect classrooms. What are the steps for that? What are the steps for technology cleaning? And just some other things that are, again, specific to staff members, but it's also good for community members and board members to know the different items and processes that we're doing to make sure that this is going to take, how things are going to take place. There's areas in there about food service, about how Google Classroom is going to work. We have a big section on classroom organization, how the physical facilities are set up and organized. Also, we have an outline on how staff are going to organize the distance-based program. This is exactly what we were doing in March, April, and May of last school year. So those are the main areas of changes. Everything else is pretty much the same, but I thought it would be good to update that through the board, especially with the mask directive that we have. The next is we have some curriculum to approve, vocational education, Spanish, art, and music. You can go there by clicking on the link. It'll open you up into these folders. You can access the art curriculum here, the vocational here, music, Spanish, and the sports history class that we're going to be providing. That's a new class. We have some hiring to do. These paraprofessionals are going to be paid out of our COVID relief funds that we have. There's a lot of different requirements that we're having to follow in order to have this school year come off with the success. So we're needing additional paraprofessionals, needing additional custodians. And so these are the people that we recommend, and we may have to hire another 1 or 2 people. Next up is a memorandum of agreement with the Troy Classified Staff Association. As a board, you just looked at the Certified Association agreement. This, again, was developed in collaboration with our school board association and the state union association that they have. So I think it's pretty well outlined. There wasn't anything concerning that I saw in this, but it's basically outlining the expectations in this environment that we have with the pandemic. We also want to recommend that the board cancel junior high fall sports activities. And we're going to be looking at setting up an intramural program in the spring or summer. There's a lot of different reasons that go into that. The main thing is that it's so many schools are either canceling their seasons or it's so modified, it's going to be so difficult to have any of these types of activities. and we can't do multiple schools coming together to host a day long of basketball games or volleyball games or anything like that. So it's just very, very difficult. So we were recommended by the athletic director to make this change, and I think that's a good change, and I think it'll be effective for us because we don't even know how this high school football and volleyball season is even going to go. So that's one recommendation that we're going to have. The next item of business is policy 1905. Again, you can click on it, open it up. This is a new policy that our board is, our school board association is recommending that we look at, specifically because of the face coverings that the governor has required. And so we can discuss that and clean this up how we want it to, and then adopt something and move forward and have some good guidance on that. And then last, this is probably the meat of the meeting. What's the most important thing to me probably is the final budget hearing. And this is, again, the reason why it's held us up so long in getting this to you. We were waiting on a lot of different items from the state and then from the county, and then we have to put it together. So I have included 3 different documents here. The summary, it probably gives you the best idea of what is going on with the budget. So we have our general fund here. Well, all the different funds here in the left-hand column. On the top here are the different fiscal years, and we include that is so you can compare what previous years look like, how much we levied, how many mills it took for this fiscal year. The state basically tells you how much you're going to levy for your general funds. This is the elementary, this is the high school. I'll just go through the elementary fund because it's the bigger of the two. So it's about $1.9 million, and it takes about 100 mills to levy that much. And the value of the mill went up. And so that's why we're going to see a decrease, or a recommended decrease in taxes. Transportation, it's going to cost us a little bit more money, so that's why it's being increased another $20,000. Bus depreciation is similar to what it was in previous years. Tuition is the same as last year. Retirement is the same as last year. This is blank because it is a county-wide levy, and so they have a specific amount that their mill is valued at. Adult education, a little bit higher. We feel like we're going to need some of those funds to operate this year with this pandemic that's going on. Building reserve, it's similar to last year. Again, this is just the second year we've been able to levy this and maximize this. Part of this too is matched by the state, which is a huge benefit that we have. The debt service is for the activity center. That's going to be paid off. I think we have 2 more years after this year. And so we're happy to be able to pay that off here pretty soon. And so I want to draw your attention down here to the bottom. This gives you an idea of what it's like for a $100,000 house. There's about 300 mills between the 2 different districts that we're asking the board to levy. Last year's taxes was $410 for a $100,000 house. This year, we're recommending $403, so we're going to have a reduction of about $7. This, you see the same reflection with a house that's worth $200,000. We'd have a decrease in taxes of $14. And I don't think we've seen actually a decrease for a couple of years, so I think people will be pretty happy about that. Our budget is robust enough to hopefully get us through this difficult year, but also help us, still reduce taxes. So we're excited about that. And I can tell you, there'll be some questions hopefully about this. There's a lot behind Montana school finance. I don't blame you if you feel like it's confusing. It is very confusing. Montana has one of the most difficult school finance programs in the nation. So we can talk about this. You can give me a call. We can go over any items that you have, or we can talk about some of these things at the board meeting. But again, a lot of things that the board looks at, that school boards look at, is how does it affect taxes? That's the main component of the adopting the budget. If you want to see the detailed budgets, you can open these up. And this is what it looks like. Again, this is just the summary of the budget. So when you're moving across the general fund, we have, this is the same amount that was in the summary that I provided. This is how much is in reserves. So about 10% of that money is in reserves, 9.34 is in reserve, and how it's developed there too. And so I think that's about it. You could go through and read through this, but I don't typically recommend that. It's pretty confusing and cumbersome. But you have the elementary and the high school. And then lastly, we're going to do a brief work session. Instead of having one the fourth Monday of the month, we decided just to do a walkthrough and see what's going on at the elementary school. We're getting a lot of things done. We have a few things that we still are not going to be done before school starts, probably the elementary gym, but we might be able to still be able to get that done. We run into some kinks in that. So again, if you do have any questions, please let me know. I'll be sending this out, and hopefully this answers a lot of your questions. But I'd be happy to answer any further questions that you have by phone or at the board meeting itself. So thank you and have a great weekend.